Ready? Okay. Hi. Very happy to be here. First of all, I haven't been working for the government for 47 years. Uh, 38. 68 and 69 and 70 with the Army, and 77 to 2014 with U.S. Customs and Customs and Border Security. Uh, how did I meet Philip? In 2006, I had a collateral duty. I was working out of Newark Liberty. I was a branch chief there, and my collateral duty was a fact finder for internal affairs. I get 2 or 3 cases a year outside of New York and New Jersey, and I follow them up. I do the investigation and submit my findings. Customs and Border Protection receives a lot of allegations, and we essentially investigate each one of them. The allegation, Philip explained it before, that he had what was it?
Green Tide Rising.
He had written Green Tide Rising, and he had used confidential Customs and Border Protection information in the article. I read the article before I went down to Atlanta, and it was a sophisticated article. I said to myself, hey, this belongs in a top shelf magazine like The Economist, something like that. It's too sophisticated to come out of Customs and Border Protection. Anyway. I went to Atlanta, and I conducted the interview. And as Philip mentioned before, the one individual I could not interview was the individual who made the allegation. He was a contract employee, probably CIA. Yeah. And confidential informant, that type. Nothing special about him. But he refused to be interviewed. And what got me was I interviewed the Customs and Border Protection Deputy Chief, who was the class coordinator, who was stunned that Philip had an investigation against him because she had read the article and mentioned to Philip, why don't you give this out to everybody in the class? Anyway, the investigation was closed down. And being a part of the bureaucracy, how long did it take for them to notify you?
11 months.
But when I left, did you have some kind of an idea that, no? Okay, I'm sorry. But that's the way things work. I submitted it before I left. I stayed in touch with Philip from 2006 until 2010, 2011, because while I was conducting my interviews and researching Philip, I discovered he's a subject matter expert on Mideast individuals. At Atlanta Hartsfield, they had put him in charge or overseeing all inbound Mideast secondary inspections. And I also noted, we kept statistics on things, and I noted that Atlanta led the nation in immigration-oriented arrests and deportations. And nobody had to tell me that it was essentially due to Mideast inbound passengers. And what impressed me was he beat JFK. I'm former JFK. I spent most of my career there. And, JFK, we said there's JFK and then there's every place else in the world. Can you tell?
I'm a New Yorker.
Okay. Anyway, I stayed in touch with Philip, and I looked for money in my budget to bring him up. I wanted him to train my secondary officers at by this time Newark Liberty. I had moved from JFK to Newark Liberty, and that's where I was doing business for the last 5 years of my career. At any rate, one Sunday morning, June 0500, I get a telephone call from the officer in charge, and he says, Mr. Ferri, we have 5 what we believe are Muslim clerics out of Hamburg into Newark Liberty, visa waiver, uncooperative during the initial interviews. Yeah, and what else? Well, we conducted inspections. We found travel documents, and we found a list of mosques in the U.S., East Coast and West Coast mosques that they're going to visit based on their travel documents. What do you think? Hold them. I'll get back to you. I got on the phone and I called my subject matter expert. As the fates would have it, he was working. He was working at Atlanta Hartsfield. And I explained what we had, the details that we had, as much as what I had by telephone. I said, look, I'm going to put you in touch with my officer in charge, and he's going to give you everything that we have. And they went back and forth, and then I got back to my officer in charge, and I said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to follow the line of questioning that Philip presents to you, and we're going to see where it takes us. And I think where it's going to take us is individuals associated with individuals or organizations that are terrorist-oriented, and then we're going to do deport. I checked with FBI, or I had my OIC check with FBI, and he came back and said, FBI agrees with what we're doing. They like the line of questioning. The only thing they ask we do is provide them with literally everything we come up with. And essentially that's what happened. The last thing I want to present.
You were at home.
Well, I was at home. At 05, it's Sunday. 0500. I worked 24/7. I worked a lot of 7 days a week. 0400, especially if somebody important, like a senator or a congressman was coming in. I'd go there myself and meet him or her. Anyway, the only thing I want to leave you with is, why were the 5 Muslim clerics stopped in the first place? Why? Because we've been receiving intel on radicalization taking place in mosques for more than 10 years. Islamic clerics, foreign Islamic clerics, have been infiltrating mosques, recruiting young Muslims, and promoting jihad and terrorist actions. 2003, 2004, I think it's 2003, I attended a joint agency task force meeting in my home state. I used to go to quarterly meetings where 4 or 5 American Islamic imams were ringing alarm bells about U.S. mosques being infiltrated by foreign fundamentalist clerics who were radicalizing young male U.S. Muslims. They were pitching terrorist tactics and offering travel for foreign training. The American imams were banned from attending these fundamentalist type meetings. They had to covertly listen to what was going on inside. And in a lot of cases, they were forced out. This is what they're telling us. They were forced out of their mosques. One example they gave at this meeting was of the terrorist, the extremist tactics that were being pitched around at these meetings was planting explosive devices in U.S. and Western European city subway systems. This meeting took place exactly, or just about, 2 months prior to the Madrid subway bombings. So we've known about this for 10 years. FBI, other investigative agencies, I'm sure they're doing the best they can. But they need a man like Mr. Haney to connect the dots. And they need an agency like Customs and Border Protection to lay out the scheme of things once they come in to the country and then move on. Listen, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank Philip for inviting me, and I wish you the best. And thank you.